Well, hello again, everyone. This is Mr. Tom here with another video for you this week. Welcome back. So this week's activity is going to be learning about weathering. Okay, and we're going to explore that by looking at ice. To me, I don't know about you, but to me, ice feels really good right about now. It's hot outside. In fact, I was just outside filming another video for the Jam Age kids that I also do. And I was outside for that demonstration. I was there for maybe, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes total, and I was just raining in sweat. So I've dried off a little bit by now. But anyway, I am indoors in some nice air conditioning here to show you how to do this craft. So before we begin, I want to show you a few pictures. Okay. So since we're talking about weather, I'm sure you know different kinds of weather. Of course, you probably know thunderstorms, right? So you get thunder and lightning, and you also get heavy rain. And in winter, because it's so cold, instead of rain, you get snow. Okay, now those things, both snow and rain, of course, are made of water. Water is actually a very, very powerful substance. Okay, when you get a ton of rain in a very short period of time and it flows really fast, it can actually be pretty dangerous. It's a very powerful force. Okay, you can even get a different form of precipitation called hail, and that's actually almost like balls of ice. So the rain is way up in a cloud, and actually circulates up and down, up and down. Each time it goes higher, it gets colder. When it goes back down, it starts to melt a little bit, but then it gets colder again, melts, colder up again, and it repeats and repeats. And actually, the more it does that, the bigger the hailstone gets. Some hailstones can actually be the size of grapefruits. I'd say that's about a grapefruit size there. Another thing water can do that sometimes you can see in rock formations. You see that? See all those lines there? This was actually carved away, most likely by some water and wind. Wind is also a very powerful force. All right, well, we're going to get into our demonstration now. Okay, now imagine it's winter right now. Okay, and imagine you're walking around out in the woods, maybe you're at a park, or maybe even in your own yard, and you come across two ponds. Okay, now because it's so cold, that water on that little pond is probably going to be frozen. So what I did here is I took two bowls, filled them with water, and I put them in the freezer overnight. So now these are frozen solid. Okay, so these are two ponds here. All right, now I'm going to do two different things. That's why I have two bowls. In one, I am going to just put some food coloring in. I'm going to use green. Now, I was going to use blue, but it's almost out. And those of you that may have seen some of my other videos before know that my favorite color is blue. So I'm guessing that's why it's running so low. But I like the color green also. You can use any color you like. But I'm just going to put a few drops in one of my little ponds here. And we are going to take a look at what happens. We're looking for cracks in our ice. See if there are any cracks or little holes. Okay, yeah, let's do one more. All right. Maybe mix that up a little bit. Well, I can hear something. Maybe it's starting to melt because I took it out of the freezer. But do you see any cracks in there? Any big cracks? Looks like maybe one right here. But I really don't see anything. It's kind of a cool pattern, actually. You can probably do some art with this if you want, but I don't really see any ice cracks. All right, now for our next pond, we're going to do something different. Before we put in food coloring, I'm actually going to add in some salt. Okay, so this is from a salt shaker. This is just regular table salt. And I am going to sprinkle that salt around there. All right, I think that should be good. Maybe All right. I can actually start to hear something happening to the ice. Okay, now I'm going to let that sit for just a little bit. I'm going to give it about 1 minute and then I'll come back. Okay, now I've given that a minute. So now that I've done that, I am actually going to take the same color, just because. You can use any color you'd like again. If you want to make sure you don't get them confused, you can do one with one color, one with a different color, but I'm going to go ahead and use green again. All right, now again, I'm just going to put in some drops, and we are going to see what we notice. Starting to run low on this one too. All right, well, you look closely there. You see anything a little different from this? For one thing, this, remember, didn't really have any cracks in it. All right? But if you can tell, there are some sort of wavy lines in here. Those are little cracks. Now, think about what happens when you put salt. You may have seen this before. When we put salt on ice in winter, that actually helps melt the ice. So we've actually got melting going on. So melting is when you go from a solid, in this case solid water, and then it becomes back to a liquid. Okay, here, let me put a little more food coloring in there just so it's a little easier to see. I'm going to add in some red, because I'm already starting to run low on my green. There we go. There, you can really see that. See how that pattern is different from this. This is more solid looking. This actually has some lines in it, okay? So that demonstrates two things. That demonstrates how salt, when you put it on, say, an icy road, it can help melt the ice more quickly than it would on its own. But also, it demonstrates something called weathering. Remember, I told you that water is actually a very, very powerful force, even ice. So what ice does, when it forms a solid and it wants to move, it wants to fill up spaces. So imagine if you have a sidewalk out in your yard and it's got some cracks in it. If that fills up with ice, that ice expands when it gets to be a solid form, and that can actually push the cracks away. It can make those cracks bigger. So that's one way ice can actually be dangerous for roads and sidewalks, and even sometimes the sides of buildings. So hope that was an interesting demonstration for you. I will see you for the next video.